This is chapter number 8, Devotional Paths to the Divine. The saints, the Sufi, all those whom we are going to talk, there are certain words which are going to come: moksha, salvation, moksha in Hindi, salvation in English. In Hindi, it's also called as mukti, sach ki prapti. So all this discussion is about attaining the moksha, the salvation. Jain, Bodh, or different Sufis or different saints, they have showed different path, different ways to get moksha. That is, if you are an individual, why you are an individual, why you have come to this life, what is the real truth of your being, what is the truth of this world, what is the truth after the life, how to get connected with the God, how to get connected with the God you love or want. Can you see Him? Is there any way to get Him? This is moksha, salvation. So we are talking about 8th to 18th century. So in between, if you see 1200 to 1556, 57, we have 1556, 57 from 1200, it's Delhi Sultanate. And most of the changes, it started from 8th century, 9th century onwards, and it continued and it grew actually till 18th. So Mughal Empire, various things happened. First thing is that if in your house only, if you see your mom, dad or dadaji, doing rituals, they may be singing bhajans, they may be doing kirtans, they may be doing qawwalis. So they may be sitting somewhere and they are moved into tears, that is crying badly, or somewhere sitting just chanting the names of their deity, their god. So this kind of situation you might have encountered. You have seen tasbih, Maulvi take tasbih and say Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Subhanallah number of times. And other Hindus, they do Ram, 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 Ram number of times. So this kind of intense devotion, that is crying because of love to God or devotion to God. So love to God, intense devotion, this is the legacy of what? This is what we have got from the love, the muhabbat, the pyar to the God. We have got it from Bhakti movement. We have got it from Sufi movement. Bhakti movement and Sufi movement. If left hand side you see, these are people who are devoted, happy in bhakti of God. Sufi movement, they just want to get connected with the God, Allah, any being, any God. So this actually evolved, changed since the 8th century. Now if you talk any Muslim, who is the supreme God? He'll say Allah. You go to any Sikh, they'll say Guru Granth Sahib and Guru Nanak Dev Ji and all the Gurus. And Hindu, there are different gods, but he may name say Ganesha, say Shiva, Durga Ji, Kali Mata. If you go to Bengal side, you'll get Kali Mata. So different deities, different gods are worshipped. So previously there were small places, small kingdoms, but in this small kingdom, people were worshipping some deities, some local deities maybe. Okay, deities means gods and goddesses combined. There is a single word for god and goddesses, and these are deities. So if someone is, or the group or the people is worshipping, but when the empire, Delhi Sultanate came, then the Mughal Empire came, empire people started talking together. People started going here and there. So the culture changed, and people got ideas. They shared ideas, and this was not only the idea about money or the power. It was the idea also about how do you worship God, what kind of God you worship, what is the way of worshiping. Because at that time the predominant or the main key concept was that you have taken birth, say for 70 years you will live, then you will die, okay, you will be cremated or buried. Now what will happen? Dehant, your dehant, that is deh means body, ant means end. So in Sanatan Dharma, Hindu Dharma, and mostly dharms of Indian subcontinent, that is, anyone is having a body and also a soul. A body is having a soul inside. So when the body dies, when the body ends, the soul remains. So soul finds another body and find itself there. Means keep inside that body for the next hopping. So this was quite a very popular culture, popular thought at that time. So birth, rebirth, birth, death, rebirth, birth, death, rebirth. So this is a circle going on and on and on. So this was a big belief that time. So good deeds, bad deeds, whatever you done, good or papa, punya, gunah, acha kaam, all these were also come with you, or will be, this pap punya chakra or circle will also be there, right? So everyone you see here, at that time there was also believed that people are not equal. That is, the person who has taken birth in noble family or high caste, he will be privileged. He will get whatever he wants, or he'll get more resources, more, say, status. But the others, that is high caste or nobility, the person or the kid will get all what he wants. Sampannata means being rich and being in a higher caste. But the others, they won't get anything. Means because they are not from the privileged society. So all these ideas, most of the people like, but many people, they don't find this idea better. They were quite uneasy of what are these kind of idea of rebirth, caste system, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. What is this? So the people who were uneasy, some of them went to Jain Dharma or Jain religion, some of them went to Buddhism. Because Jainism and Buddhism, the teaching was that this cycle of birth, rebirth and death, this cycle of pap and punya, good and bad deeds, it can be stopped. It can be broken. This cycle can be broken if you put your personal effort. That is, you can take sannyas, you can take a renunciation of everything, go somewhere, just think about God, meditate, etc. Okay? And these all things can be done. If you have personal effort, you have to work hard, you have to devote yourself. But there are other people also who thought in a different terms. They said the idea of the supreme God, that is, whosoever you believe, the idea of the supreme God, like the Brahma, like any God, if you approach him, if you love him with all the devotion, that is what we are calling bhakti. So if you do proper bhakti, then the God will save you from these bondages of BDR, that is, here you see Krishna ji, Lord Krishna is giving sermons, Upadesh to Arjun. So here he is Krishna Bhagavan, he is an incarnation of Vishnu, Krishna ji and Arjun, one of the Pandavas. So he is giving the idea of this bhakti, this exactly what we have just talked about. So it is being mentioned in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So it's a part of Mahabharata. So these kind of ideas were taking place. Okay, some were happy with the Sanatan, some were not. Some went to Buddhism, Jainas. Some were using this idea of bhakti. So at that time, which the period we are talking about, initially three gods, three god and goddess basically. Shiv Bhagavan, Shiv, and Durga ji and Vishnu. So Shiva, Vishnu and Durga, these three were the key deities, means key god and goddess. Everyone was worshipping them, devoted to them, loving them. Okay, and what would happen if the small places are there? There were some personal or the only area related gods, but they were also treated as some or the other form of incarnation of these three only, or some or the other faces or shape of these three only. Shiva, Vishnu, Durga. They were identified as Shiva, Vishnu, Durga only. So in local levels, as I said, at that time Shiva, Vishnu, Durga were there, and this was also mentioned in various or written, because there were myths, there were things being written in certain stories, and the idea of how to worship these gods, Shiva, Vishnu, Durga, the way they should be worshipped, it was clearly been written in Puranas. Okay, also it was properly being laid out. Any devotee, it is possible, because of the Puranas, that whoever is there, belonging to any caste, any creed, any caste, okay, he can get the grace of God if he behave or he devote himself the way it is being said in the Puranas, right? In the Puranas. So this is how it get popular, and Buddhas and Jainas also adopted them. So these all, see, there are two movements we are talking about. Bhakti movement, and the second is Sufi. Sufi has come from the Iran part, Central Asia part, or the Bhakti movement in Indian subcontinent. It started from where? It started, all the names we will be talking about whenever we encounter these. So it started from 9th century. We started that it is 8th century till 18th century. So if you see Dadu in the north, it is 16th to 17th century, which is way far off than when actual started. So the everything started from south. Mandikava Sagar, 9th century. Ramanuja, 11th to 12th century. So everything initiated, or these Bhakti movement, they were rooted from the South India, right? Kerala, Tamil Nadu. Okay. So let me tell you, the 7th and 9th century, here this time, 7th to 9th century, that is around 600 to 800, it was various religious movements, various andolans, religious movements, it took place. And who led them? The Netritra, the leaders were Nayanars and Alvars. Nayanars, Alvars, they were groups, they were people. So Nayanars, they were those saints who were devoted to Lord Shiva, the middle one. Lord Shiva, this is N I am writing for Nayanars. And what about Alvars? Alvars were devoted to whom? Vishnu. I am writing Vishnu here on the leftmost picture. So Alvars, Vishnu. The Nayanars, Shiva. Alvars were Vaishnavites, Nayanars were Shivites or Shavites. And in this Nayanars and Alvar, the important thing was everyone was there. Big community, small community, even the untouchables, Pulayyar, Panars, the untouchables, Achuts, The Ati Shudras were also there in Nayanars and Alwars. These Pulayyar and Panars. That is the specific thing you need to know, because mostly the religion is always thought of as Brahmanical or Brahmani. So Buddha, they were very critical about Buddhist and Jainas, whatever they preached. Because Buddhist and Jaina was not talking about any god. So they were very critical about what Buddhists and Jaina were doing. Okay, they only said Shiv Bhagwan, Vishnu Bhagwan, Shiv Bhagwan, Vishnu Bhagwan. They are the path of salvation, moksha, mukti. Right? So Alwar were saying, please worship this Vishnu Bhagwan. Nayanar saying, please worship Shiv Bhagwan. Okay. So how do this came up? They combined certain ideas. Do you remember Sangam Sahitya, Sangam literature? Madurai, I told you earlier. So there was a convention, and here the compilation of this Sangam literature was done. So here in the Sangam literature, there were various things. So they took out two things. One was love, the other was heroism. Heroism, veerta, pyar, love and heroism. So they added the idea of bhakti also, blended, mixed the ideas, love, heroism and bhakti. They combined it. That is the Nayanars and Alwars, right? So this was kind of a mixture. So these people would go to various places. Wherever they go, Ghumantu, wherever they go, they would write certain text or poem, and what dohe, we'll talk about them. So they were writing these, and whichever place they go, and whichever is the local deity there, like local god, and they would write for them, and also they will put music also. That is, they would sing it also, or made others to sing with proper music. If you know that whenever we listen to music, we get just ecstatic. So this is where they write everything, mainly the poems and the geet, right? The songs, and that is how it propagated. Everyone was singing. Now I'll just talk about Nayanars and Alwars in detail, but before that, let me talk about this South India we were talking about, Bhakti movement. Here what happened, if you see, he is Manikkava Sagar. We'll just talk about him, Manikkava Sagar. So this is a bronze image of Manikkava Sagar. Shortly you will be knowing who was he. So in between this 10th and 12th century, the Chola and Pandya king, I told you the South, Chola, Chera, Pandya, three were there. So Chola and Pandya, these were what they did, because they knew that wherever these Nayanars and Alwars, they were going, and they were making people love them or have an idea of the Bhakti movement they were spreading. So Chola and Pandya, they made a temple and shrine on their names, these Nayanars and Alwars. Okay, temple and shrine, right? So this is the Bhakti movement. They wanted to combine or link this Bhakti movement with the temple puja, temple say worship. Okay, so they tried to strengthen the link or relationship between Bhakti tradition and temple tradition, right? So they also made them wrote. The people were writing the religious biography, dharmik jivaniya. These main Alwars and Nayanars, I'll just talk about them. The Cholas and Pandyas, they were encouraging to write hagiographies. Hagiography is what? Writing about the saint life, writing about their religious lives or the movement aspects. So let me tell you, this is hagiography. Okay, this is what is important. Nayanars and Alwars, let us see it. First is Nayanars. Nayanar, remember Shiv, they were worshipping Shiv. So they were around 63 Nayanars, 63, and they were coming from different caste. Potters, they were potters, They were untouchables. They were workers also, peasants, hunters, and soldiers, and Brahmins also were there, and the Sardars, chieftains, chief. So each and every category was there in Nayanars. So the main key Nayanars were Appar. I'm talking about the names of them. Sambandar, Sundarar, Sundarar. And I told you, you'll just know about Manikkava Sagar. Manikkava Sagar. So Appar, here you see this is Manikkava Sagar. So Sundarar, Manikkava Sagar, Appar, and Sambadar. Talking about Alwar, there were 12 Alwars. 12 Alwars. Okay. All these backgrounds were there. They were also coming from different diverse background. And the best of them, or the people we know about in Alwars, are Periya Alwar, and his daughter Andal Alwar, and then Tondara Dippodi Alwar, Tondara Dippodi Alwar, then Nammalavar. So these are the few four which were very prominent. We named them. So now these were the the names, etc. But what about whatever they compiled? Because basic thing we are talking about the songs and poems. Okay, so the compilation of Nayanar songs were done in two different sets. One is Tevaram, the other is Tiruvakkam. Tevaram and Tiruvakkam for Nayanars. When we come to Alwars, the name of the compilation of their songs were called as Divya Prabandham. What was the name of Alwar's song, this compilation? Divya Prabandham. For Nayanars, it's Tevaram and Tiruvakkam. For Alwars, it's Divya Prabandham. Okay, I hope you will remember this. Okay, coming to philosophy and bhakti, this we are going to take in the next discussion. Okay, till then, thank you so much. Take care of yourself.